We're now going to turn our attention to key transforming operators in RxJava's single class. Remember that a transforming operator transforms the values and or the types that are emitted by a single. And we'll be focusing on the map transforming operator. Map can be used to transform the item emitted by a single. It applies a synchronous function passed as a parameter in order to transform the item. And this function, of course, is a Java 8 functional interface. It returns a new single that emits the results of the transformation. As mentioned earlier, map can either transform the value and/or it can transform the type of the elements that it processes. Here's a simple example that builds on what we showed earlier when we were talking about the just factor method operator. This takes the result of just, which reduces an unreduced fraction, and then goes ahead and uses map to convert that big fraction into a mixed string, which is a mixed fraction, instead of a so-called improper fraction. We'll take a closer look at using this particular map operation when we take a look at the example case study at the end of this lesson. Project Reactor also has a map operator that's defined on its mono class, and it works essentially the same way. Only difference is that we're using a mono as opposed to a single, but the behavior is the same as shown in the example below, where we're using the map operator in order to convert a reduced big fraction into a mixed string. Both of these methods from RxJava and Project Reactor are very similar to Java completable futures then apply operator, which, as you can see, works very much the same way, where in this particular case, we go ahead and use the supply async factor method to reduce an unreduced fraction, and then we apply the big fraction to mixed string method in order to convert it to a mixed string. The main difference between this part of little snippet of code and the ones we saw before is that completable futures, by their very nature, will run in the background. In contrast, the RxJava and Project Reactor operations need to have some other mechanism in order to run them in the background. They're not asynchronous by design, although they're commonly used in an asynchronous way. So that concludes part one of our coverage of key transforming operators in the single class. We'll take a look at other transforming operators in later lessons.